Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's today's Takes with Alex, and I am your host, Alex. Today we're diving back into a topic we've discussed in the past. It's an important one, not not to be overlooked, because there are plenty of nonprofits out there, different organizations, different causes that are doing genuinely good work, divine work, and helping others isn't always the most lucrative, and so our support is a big deal. So there is something deeply human about giving, not just generosity in the casual sense, like tipping a waiter or donating spare change, but real giving, the kind that costs something, the kind that feels intentional. Right back to our the lessons and the thoughts that we shared about the offerings, right? Across cultures, across time, across belief systems, people have always understood that giving isn't just a social good, it's something spiritual, something transformative. But what if giving charity isn't just about helping others? What if it's actually one of the most powerful tools a person has to shape their own soul and even the structure of reality itself? Today we're going to explore the idea through the lens of ancient Torah wisdom and Hasidic thought, as we usually do, and uncover why giving to authentic causes isn't just meaningful, it's an essential part of the service. Most people think of charity in simple terms. Someone has less, you have more, you give, balance is restored. It's practical, it's ethical, it makes society function. And that's true, but that understanding barely scratches the surface. Because if charity were only about redistributing wealth, then its impact would be limited to the physical world, right? But the Torah presents a radically different perspective. It teaches that giving, or tzedakah, isn't just kindness, it's justice. In fact, tzedek means justice or righteousness. So tzedakah is the act of doing a justice or righteousness, right? So not generosity, but alignment. Meaning, when you give, you're not just choosing to help, intentionally, conscientiously deciding, that this cause is something you want to connect with. You're participating in something much bigger than yourself. Here's a fundamental idea that shifts everything. You don't truly own what you have. You're entrusted with it. In Torah thought, everything a person has, money, time, energy, opportunity, is given with purpose, not randomly, not accidentally. And part of that purpose is distribution. Hasidic teachings explain that resources flow through people like channels. Some are meant to receive, others are meant to pass things along. So when someone withholds charity, it's not just a missed opportunity, it's a blockage in their preordained divine service. But when someone gives, especially to a cause that is genuine, impactful, and aligned with truth, they're allowing that flow to continue. They become a conduit, and that changes them. Not all giving is equal. That might sound uncomfortable, but it's important. Giving blindly, impulsively, or to causes that lack integrity can dilute the spiritual impact of the act. Hasidic thought emphasizes intention and alignment. The cause matters. The likelihood of it reaching its intended beneficiary matters, right? Authentic causes are those that elevate life, not just materially, but morally and spiritually. They uplift people in a way that preserves dignity. They create growth, not dependency. They reflect truth, not manipulation. Because when you give to something real, something aligned with your higher values, your action becomes more than generosity, it becomes a partnership with purpose. You're not just helping someone survive or helping impact the world in a meaningful way, you're helping elevate the world. You're helping build it. You become a co-creator in building a better world. And I mean that sincerely. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Giving doesn't just change the outside world, it reshapes the person giving. Human nature is wired toward self-preservation, toward accumulation, toward control. Giving disrupts that. Every time you give in a meaningful way, you loosen the grip of ego. You remind yourself that you are not the center of everything, that your resources are not just for you, although you are a world. And it's important to see yourself as that. You're a world of divine blessing that's meant to impact the world around you. And that shift, small as it may seem, has massive spiritual consequences. Because the more a person moves away from self centeredness, the more space they create for something higher. In Torah and Hasidic teachings, charity isn't just symbolic, it's active. It does something. There's a concept that giving charity draws down blessing into the world, not metaphorically, but actually. The act of giving, it's like the act of praying, the act of doing any commandment, whether it's a positive commandment or negative commandment. But when we do it with the intention, we draw down, important, impactful light. It creates merit. It generates protection. It opens pathways that were previously closed. But why? Because it reflects the very nature of creation itself. The world exists because of giving, the creator and the sustainer. Existence itself is an act of divine generosity. So when a person gives, they are mirroring that fundamental pattern. And when you align with the pattern of creation, things begin to move differently. From a purely material perspective, giving seems like a loss. You had something, now you have less of it. But spiritually, and often even practically, the opposite is true. There's a well known idea in Torah thought that giving does not diminish wealth, it expands it. Not always in obvious or immediate ways, not always in dollars and cents, but certainly in a karmic sense, right? But in opportunity also, in clarity, in protection, in unexpected openings. Because when a person shows they can be trusted to give, they are trusted with more. Not all acts of charity carry the same weight. The difference is intention. Giving out of guilt feels different than giving out of purpose. Giving for recognition feels different than giving quietly. Hasidic teachings emphasize that the highest form of giving is when it's done with awareness. How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to bestow a kindness? Are you doing it to honor and glorify yourself? God honors, God glorifies. Just keep that in mind and do things with pure intention. When a person understands that, they are part of something bigger, that their action matters, that their choice to give is shaping both the world and themselves. Even a small act done with clarity and sincerity can outweigh a larger act done mechanically. One of the most overlooked aspects of charity is its ripple effect. When you give, you don't just impact the immediate recipient, you influence everyone connected to that moment. The person you may help, the person you help may go on to help someone else. You create a chain reaction of positive effects and consequences. The act itself may inspire others to give. And even beyond what you can see, there are consequences, like spiritual ones. Subtle shifts in reality that expand outward in ways we can't measure. When you have a friend that you know, a friend, colleague, right? That you know is going through a hard time, and you go out of your way and give tzedakah to that person so that person can get movement, and that person that gets movement and goes on to make it, serious impact. Well, who started that movement? Okay? So no act of giving is ever isolated, it echoes. If giving is so powerful, why don't people do more of it? Because it's not always easy to give. There's fear. What if I need this later? There's skepticism. How do I know this is legitimate? There's hesitation. Will this really make a difference? These are real questions, and they should be taken seriously. That's why discernment matters. Finding authentic causes requires thought, research, awareness, right? Not just blindly giving because it has a certain name, but looking into it, and maybe looking into other possible smaller projects or organizations that have a more direct influence in your immediate community. But once that clarity is there, the resistance becomes something to overcome, not something to obey. So, what does this look like in real life? It doesn't require extreme wealth, it doesn't require perfection, but it starts with consistency, setting aside a portion of what you have regularly, being intentional about where it goes, choosing causes that alignment with truth. Choosing causes that alignment with truth, growth, and real impact. And giving in a way that stretches you just enough to matter. Because the goal isn't comfort, the goal is transformation. It's part of the divine service, right? We are souls buried in this physical body, the avatar, living in this material world. And the whole point is to connect through that divine via the divine service to the source of all blessing, source of life, and to expand our souls and creating a greater light of who we are and the world around us. Giving charity is not just a moral act, it's a spiritual one. It's a way of stepping into alignment with something far greater than yourself. A way of transforming not just the lives of others, but your own internal landscape. In a world that constantly pushes toward talking, accumulating, or I'm sorry, in a world that constantly pushes toward taking, accumulating, and holding on, giving is a radical act. It's almost illogical. It redefines your relationship with what you have, right? Why do I have this? Do I have this to store? Well, some of it, right? We have to be responsible. We have to make sure we have enough for our own needs, right? But there's also a portion of what we have that is part of why we're here, right? It reconnects you with purpose. It reminds you that what flows through your hands was never meant to stop there. So the next time you have an opportunity to give, pause, think, choose wisely, and then give it in a way that reflects who you want to become. Because in the end, charity isn't just about changing the world, it's about revealing the deeper structure of it. Okay, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Wishing everyone a happy Friday and a great weekend. Be safe, be blessed. Okay, we should all see only more and more greatness. Everyone that's about to engage in serious things in life, you should be healthy, you should be happy, you and your families. And check back on Saturday for another video. Have a great one.